In this video, I'm going to show you how I would build an audience from scratch as a business owner as quickly as possible. And just for context, my name is Ravi Abuvala. I'm the founder of Scaling Systems, where we build marketing and sales systems for other companies. We work with over 2,000 clients in the past few years, and I've also amassed a decent audience online. So on my YouTube channel, I have about 85,000 subscribers. On my Instagram, I have 120,000 followers. On my LinkedIn, I have almost 15,000 followers. And I also have a membership site called Scaling School with over 1,100 people paying me $97 a month. So I know that these may be some impressive numbers to some, and to other people, you may think that I'm a tiny itty bitty creator, and you would be correct. I'm not the biggest creator in the world, and I don't have millions of followers and subscribers, but what I am doing is I am making millions of dollars with the few subscribers and followers that I have. And as you can see, this is the data from our company. Last month, 20% of our high ticket deals came from Instagram, 24% came from YouTube. And this is just a screenshot from some of the most recent calls that we get. So we get about 20 to 30 book calls a day, qualified book calls. And you can see that in the last few we had was Instagram, Google, Instagram, YouTube, Instagram. And these aren't just, broke people that are online that have nothing better to do than consume content, which is what most people think. Anytime I'm working with a client, they go, these CEOs that I work with, they're not consuming content. And it's just not true. Everybody on this planet is consuming content. And so this person is it's an example of somebody who just spoke to call to speak with us. They're doing $100,000 to $200,000 a month. And they say, I'd love help scaling the business, right? So this is all thanks to content, and I may not have this massive, huge follower online, but I am a business owner, and I also do things outside of my business as well. So I kind of wanted to show you that I'm not spending 40, 50, 60 hours a week in content. I'm not even spending that in my business. In my free time, what I'm doing is I'm spending time with my puppy. I'm playing around with my toys, playing pickleball on the weekend, driving around my Porsche or my motorcycle, going on trips to places like China and Dubai, or hosting company retreats and events with clients and team members, right? So the whole point of me kind of walking through all this is that my hope with this is that I'm showing you how to build a quality audience that makes you a lot of money without consuming your entire life, okay? So let's first cover why it's even important that you should be building an audience or creating content in the first place. So for the longest time, it was believed that a buyer's journey could be broken down into three simple stages. The first was what was known as a stimulus, and this would be if someone, for example, saw one of your ads online. The second would be what was known as the first moment of truth. And this is when they landed on your sales page, maybe watched a video, and maybe even spoke with your sales team and bought your product or service. And then the final stage was known as the second moment of truth. And this is when they actually experienced your product or service, right? So, you couldn't just have people buy from you without getting feedback from the marketplace if you were delivering on what you were promising on. And so this is kind of what everyone believed for the longest time. Okay, cool. If I just run ads to a VSL, I'll get people on the call and I can close a deal. And that was the case for a very, very long time. But recently, Google published a study, and they actually identified a new stage, the most important stage where people spend the majority of their time. And they actually call it the zero moment of truth, or the ZMOT, okay? And this is where they figured out that when people see your brand, your business, they hear about it for the first time, they are not going directly to the sales page, getting on a call, speaking with your sales team, and buying. What they're doing is they're researching your business. They are looking you up online, and they're figuring out if they should spend more time with you. And they figured out that on average, people spend about 7 hours consuming your content across 11 different touch points in 4 different locations before they're ready to start speaking with your sales team, or before they're ready to buy your product or service. And this example right here of this 7-11-4, which became known as the 7-11-4 rule, is exactly why you need to have content, so that when they look you up online, it's not a ghost town. It's not like they're seeing nothing on there. You're curating your own story. You're allowing them, you're enabling this process, which has been proven by Google that this is what is required to turn a stranger into a buyer. So now that we know we need to be creating content, we need to be creating an audience as a business owner, not as just a content creator, how do we do that? The first thing I always tell people to do is you need to treat content creation like a business, okay? That's the biggest mistake I see people doing, is that they do it when they want to. They do it when inspiration strikes. They do it when they feel like it. They do it when they notice that their ad account gets shut down. And in reality, you need to treat it like you are an employee of your company creating content for it. And that's exactly what you see here. This is a screenshot from our organizational chart in our company, and I'm the CEO of the company, but I'm also at one of the lowest levels of the company as a content creator. So you can see my name, and I'm writing, filming, and uploading media, and I'm giving feedback as well for media that we're creating on how we can optimize, and I'm looking at data, some of the stuff we'll talk later. So now that I'm in the organizational chart as this person, as a content creator, it now gives me permission for both myself and the rest of the company to be creating content, to spend time in the middle of a workday, like it is right now, creating content, okay? And that's also why I've optimized my calendar to have like this blend of both a maker and a manager. So you can see on Mondays and Thursdays, I'm kind of a manager. These are when I take meetings from 11 to 4. But every other day of the week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, and even Mondays and Thursdays in the morning, I am a maker. I am creating content, or I'm working on building systems and stuff for my company to help us grow forward, whatever the theory of constraints is. So this is the next element. Once you know that, okay, I need to create content, you know that, okay, I'm going to be the content creator and I am the person that's doing that for this company, then you need to make your schedule around creating content. So all of these days here, I'm at creating at least one piece of content every single day, which I'll cover here in a moment. And now that we know, okay, we're going to be creating content, I'm the content creator for the company, what kind of content should you be creating? Well, I like to walk my clients through something that I call the content prism. And this is really simplified content creation, and it's also increased our conversions from our content. It's increased the amount of qualified leads, calls, and sales that we get from our content. And the content prism is, in essence, when you start with one foundational asset. For us, it's something we call the sales copy blueprint, which I'm going to walk through here in a moment. And then from that foundational piece of asset, that's what you're creating every other piece of content that you have. So content could be your video sales letter, which is what you use to educate and sell your prospects on booking a call to speak with you, your YouTube videos, your Instagram videos, any of the ads that you create. But all of this is not based off of, whatever you're seeing on somebody else's channel and what's this viral thing going on over there. It's simply based off of your sales copy blueprint, which is going to be based off of what your offer is, who you serve, what you do, et cetera, et cetera. So let's walk through just the example sales copy blueprint right here. So this is what we do with our clients. One of the first things we'll do is create the sales copy blueprint for them. And so we identify what's the niche, what's the avatar, what are their primary goals, what are their secondary goals, what are their primary complaints, what are mistaken beliefs that they have, what are false assumptions that they have, who are people that they look up to inside this industry. And by having this piece of content, you have an unlimited amount of content ideas, because now you know everything you need to know about your business. All of the marketing assets are inside this one document. And then from there, you can say, okay, if I know that their primary complaints are this, let me create content around how to solve those primary complaints with my product or service as a solution. You also know, for example, that if they mistakenly believe, for example, for us, people believe that they don't need to create content to scale their business. And so a lot of my content is showing people that you absolutely have to create content to scale a business by both using examples from me, how we use content, and then citing large companies like Google and how they're using, they publish a study that shows that you have to have that 7-11 full rule in order to scale, right? So this sales copy blueprint is the first thing you need to get done, or something similar that's a foundational asset. And it also helps because as you start to grow and scale, you're going to hire agencies or employees. And so you can hand this one document and say, hey, I want to make sure every piece of content we have, whether it's an ad, a YouTube video, an Instagram reel, a Twitter post, it all follows this one framework. And so if somebody follows you online, or they go to different channels, they see you on LinkedIn, they go on YouTube, they go on Instagram, it may be different styles of content, but it is all essentially saying the same thing. And that's incredibly, incredibly important. As far as the actual filming of the content, like what's the workflow and stuff like that, I have another video on my channel called My Home Office Tour, and I would watch that video because I literally break down this entire room that I'm in. I walk through, I give links to all the different pieces of equipment inside of there. And so you can see how I do my workflow. But the very simple way to tell you is that I remove as much friction as possible. So there's something called activation energy. And activation energy is how much energy is required for you to do something. The more activation energy is required, the less likely you're to do something, which is why if you have a bunch of junk food in the house, you're more likely to eat junk food than if you had no junk food in the house, because it's just so easy to do that. And so I take that into my business and into my content. If every time I needed to create a piece of content, it took 6 hours to get all set up, I had to fly somebody in, I had to meet somebody to film the et cetera, I would never be creating content. But if I could literally just create content with Loom, my webcam, and an iPad, I could create content anywhere around the world that I was at any time in just an hour or less, right? So you want to focus on building some kind of system around content creation so it's as easy as possible for you to create content. And then once we do have that system up, in my opinion, I think that you should have one long form channel or platform for creating content. I am very bullish on YouTube, and then one short form platform, and I'm very bullish on Instagram. The reason why I like the blend of both of these two things is because short form, you're typically going to have a much higher chance of going viral. And so that's a really great way to build brand and to have people think about you in their eyes. And then long form is really where you're going to be converting people into those calls and sales for your business. And so the blend between both is really what I found. If you had to just choose one, personally, I would choose YouTube. I've been on YouTube for multiple years, and it's 25% of all the deals that we do. But I also like short form, specifically Instagram, because what we're noticing is that our best performing reels are also our best performing ads. So instead of spending all this money having to test ads multiple times, I am able to simply put it on Instagram, get all that organic eyeballs, and then if it really pops off, for example, this end of day report one here doing pretty well, then I can just go immediately and create an ad from it. And I have a different YouTube video where I go through that exact ad management system. But I'm going to talk about here in a moment, but what I'm not doing is trying to take something that's, let's say, doing well on YouTube and run it as an ad on Instagram. And so the next part is that once you start kind of getting into this flow of every single day putting one piece of content out there, whether it's a reel, it's a YouTube video, right? Or you spend a few hours in the week and you post one YouTube video a week, the key is consistency. Then you now want to start driving people to your sales mechanism. Now for us, it's a video sales letter, and I'm going to walk through that in one moment. But at the top of all of our YouTube descriptions, I have the link to our video sales letter. And then in all of my profiles and bios, I have the link to my video sales letter. So people on their own platforms are consuming content the way that they want to, and after they've gone through that 7-11 full rule, now I'm ready to take them to the first moment of truth, which is my sales page or my video sales letter. And in full transparency, the video sales letter is going to be a little bit out of context for this video. We actually write video sales letters for our clients. We build this entire system for our clients. So I'm not going to go into this video, but it's essentially going to be taking all of these elements that people have been hearing top of funnel. Oh yeah, he's talking about content and ads and scaling and blending it all together. And it's going to put it in this one simple 10 to 15 minute presentation where I'm selling them on working with me, explaining to them what that's going to be like, and trying to ask them to book a call to speak with myself or my sales team, right? And the reason why this works so well if you do it the way I'm talking about is because if we go back over here to the content prism, the video sales letter feels just like another piece of content that they're watching on YouTube and my and Instagram because of the sales copy blueprint, because it's all cohesive and it's all together in the exact same thing. And the final few pieces is that once you are creating content and once you are posting consistently and once you're driving it over to your video sales letter, then you should start to see like what we're seeing right here, which is consistent calls, qualified calls from your social media platforms, from your contents. Now, the question that I always get is, okay, let's say you're at this stage, which by the way, I'd say 99% of businesses don't even have the fundamentals, the basics down. You could stop this video right now and you'd be good to go, and you could go out there and do that, and you'd start generating leads, calls, and sales from your contents. But for some of you who are already doing some of this, you may be thinking, okay, how do I scale this? How do I really blow up my brand, and how do I get even more? Maybe I'm getting 1 call a day. How do I get 10 calls a day or 20 calls a day from your contents? Well, I'm going to tell you what not to do. And what not to do is what everybody else tells you to do, which is, okay, if it's working well on one platform, just copy and paste it to all of your other platforms. And in full transparency, this is what I used to do as well. So I used to have this process where I would test it on Twitter, and then if it worked well on Twitter, I would put it on LinkedIn, and I'd put it on my story, and I would make IG posts of it. We'd do a video on it and put it on TikTok, and then we'd make a YouTube video of it, maybe a newsletter, right? I used to think, okay, if it performed well on one, it would perform well on all of them. But the truth is, that is no longer the case. I promise you that is no longer the case. And if you don't believe me, look at all of your favorite creators. Look at the different platforms that they're on. Are they all posting the exact same thing on the exact same day on all the platforms? The short answer is no, because I've studied every single one of them, or I've talked to them, or I've paid them money, and we're not doing it either. So the platforms have smartened up, and they don't want to have the same algorithms, right? Because then nobody's going to go to that specific platform. So they all reward content differently. And so that's another reason why you need to stay super true to your content prism, because if you're doing different styles and types of content on Instagram and on YouTube and on LinkedIn, in order to avoid confusing the market, you need that sales copy blueprint. You need that foundational asset that keeps you focused on the same thing. So if we're not going to be just reposting the exact same thing across multiple different platforms, what should we be doing? Well, the short answer is you should go all in on maybe one or two different platforms. Let's say for you, it could be YouTube and Instagram. And then from there, you need to be just analyzing what's working. And just like you were scaling ads or anything else in your business, you're going to cut the bottom 20% and scale the top 20%. It's as simple as that. And people make it so confusing. So for example, we have tracking sheets inside of our company and stuff that we share with our clients where we're analyzing all of our posts. We're analyzing what was the topic of the post. Was it a talking head? Was it a reaction? Was it a screen share and demonstration? Was it a podcast one? And then we also analyze, was there a call to action? So we're figuring out what are all the variables that you could have inside of a post. And when we identify what are the ones that are performing the worst, those 20%, then we remove those variables and we scale the top 20%. So a great example of this is in, I think this was 2 months ago on our Instagram, the vast majority of videos were talking head, animation, and reaction. But then when I looked at the on-platform metrics, things that I care about the most, specifically shares, I realized the things that were getting the most shares were podcasts and screen share and demonstrations, which were actually the lowest types of content that we're creating, right? So I was able to cut back on the talking head and podcasts and animation videos and start to scale the screen share demonstration and the podcast style stuff. So it's as simple as that. Okay, now that you know what's working, just do more of it. More. That's all that matters. But you need to make sure you're cutting back on the losers, and that's how you're leveraging. That's how you're not working 40, 50 hours a week doing this stuff, and you're just getting more and more results out of doing it. And let me show you an example of what I'm talking about here. So a few months ago, I posted a reel, which was kind of a repurposed one of me speaking at an event, and I talked about why you should treat your sales team like athletes. And then once we analyzed using our tracking sheets that this reel performed really, really well, I literally just redid it again, but in a different format, doing kind of a screen share and demonstration. So, we would consider this previous one on the left-hand side here like kind of a talking head one, because it's just me talking and there's nothing else on the screen. And so if I know that the talking head one was the worst performing style of video, and I know that the screen share demonstration was the better style of video, well then if I take one of the ones that did perform well in the talking head, I could repurpose it, the same concept, but do it in a screen share demonstration format. And so that's literally what we've been doing, and it's been working very, very, very well for us. Now, if you're really trying to start scaling and you're taking this seriously, it's important to build systems around it. So at some point, if you're a business owner and you want to get more out of it, then you are going to look at hiring team members, building a media system, having a media pipeline, having somebody else come up with maybe topics for you, analyze the data for you. So that stuff all has its time and place, but that's for the top, 20% of business owners that are really looking to scale really quickly. If you're just starting out in the very beginning, then just feel free to do the things that I talked about in this video so far. Now, I'm going to make a shameless plug inside of here, which is that if you just want us to come in and build this entire system for you, this blend of both paid advertising and organic. If you want us to write your video sales letter for you, create your sales copy blueprints, write your ads for you, launch your targeting for you, write your email sequences for you, putting this all together for you, I recommend going below this video and booking a call to speak with myself or one of our team members where we can show you exactly how we can do all of this for you in the next 7 to 14 days.